All right, guys. So this news dropped just earlier today. And, Terrifier 4 is coming our way. It sounds like they must have been filming earlier this year. This film is slated to be released in 2026. And this article here by Alex DiVincenzo of Bloody Disgusting has a headline that reads, David Howard Thornton teases, quote, batshit insane finale to Terrifier 4. And we've got this great picture here of Art Claus or Santa Art or whatever. What do they call this guy? Art the Clown, obviously. But what do they call him when he's dressed as Santa? I don't know. You're gonna have to let me know. Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments. And speaking of which, if you're watching this after the fact, jump on into the comments. Just give me your thoughts on the Terrifier series, on a whole. Like, how do you feel about this franchise? How did you feel about Terrifier 3? For me, it's my favorite of the bunch so far. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Terrifier 4? So let's go ahead and get into this article here, which starts out by saying, Art the Clown actor David Howard Thornton has provided an update on Terrifier 4, which is still in the scripting stage from writer-director Damien Leone. Quote, I'm very excited, but I don't know a whole lot because this time around, Damien has been keeping everything very close to his vest about what's happening in the script, Thornton tells Slasher Radio. He goes on to say, Lauren, Samantha, and I, in the past, when he's been writing the other scripts, he's been consulting us the whole entire time, running ideas by us. This time, he's pretty much been silent. He just goes, oh yeah, you're going to love the origin story, Dave. You're going to love how we do it. And he also said the finale is batshit insane. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. Other than that, I don't know, but that makes me excited, end quote. So a whole lot to kind of digest there from, what David Howard Thornton has to say. But interesting to know that in the previous films, or at least I'm guessing for 2 and 3, the cast was kind of privy to the script. And like David says here, consulting us the whole entire time. So it's interesting that now he's kind of, he's tucked himself away and he's like, I just got to write this, what has been said is the finale. So let's go ahead and finish out the article here, which says, will the 4th installment bring the franchise to an end? Thornton weighs in, quote, I feel like this might be the finale of this story arc that Damien's going with for right now and might give it a rest for a few years and might return later onto it. I have no idea, but I'm excited nonetheless. And he adds, I have so much faith in him. And to finish out the article here, Leone previously said the script is shaping up to be the most epic, horrifying, thrilling, emotional, and satisfying conclusion to the Terrifier saga. He also confirmed Art's backstory will be revealed in the opening 15 minutes. So we've got some other stuff going on that they're talking about here. Of course, we have Fortnite. I'm way too old to really, keep up with that kind of stuff. But apparently Art the Clown is available on Fortnite. There you go. And then the Terrifier, the arcade game, is coming out November 21st. That's more my speed because I am an old school gamer. So I'm more likely to play a beat 'em up with Art the Clown than any sort of Fortnite nonsense or anything like that. So yeah, guys, there's a whole interview here from, Slasher Radio? Yes, from Slasher Radio. So, it's over an hour long. You guys can check that out if you would like. But I'm very, I'm curious. Like, Terrifier is not really my cup of tea. I don't dislike the movies or anything like that, but I'm just, I grew up in a totally different era. It's not that like the gore is solely what bugs me. I think it's more like the lingering and everything on the gore is just like not really my style, but I will say this. I thought Terrifier 3 was really fun. I thought it was the most like fun loving one of the bunch. So they kind of got me now. And with all the mystery and everything behind the characters, and I mean, particularly Art the Clown and everything like that. And, we got a little bit of breadcrumbs with Sienna's father and everything. I have an inkling that, he has something to do with Art because it seems like he created this character, that he tells Sienna about in the 3rd movie. You have a flashback where you see him explaining this character, and that's the person that she becomes in Terrifier 2. So it sort of explains why she has these kind of like superpowers in Terrifier 2. and going into Terrifier 3. So I'm like, man, does he have like some sort of supernatural power or some sort of witchcraft or whatever, and he's going to be responsible for Art the Clown? Very curious about all that, and especially with Art kind of just being relegated to like being a lackey of Victoria by the end of Terrifier 3. I found that kind of interesting. So, I would say after 3 movies, there haven't been many answers. So hopefully Terrifier 4 doesn't just feel like a vomiting of answers and reasons. We don't need answers for everything, but I would like some answers to make heads or tails with this story, honestly. So those are my thoughts on Terrifier 4. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see this conclusion, and yeah, to get some of those answers. And it can be tough to end a story. So maybe that's why Damien is sort of tucked away working on this one, because sticking the landing can be very, very difficult. We see it in, standalone movies, but we also see it in franchises a lot. So those are my thoughts, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. So if you're watching in the live chat, let me know. If you're watching after the fact, jump on into the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts there. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the channel with someone who you think would dig this kind of content. We're covering horror news all the time here. Movies, TV shows, books, comic books, video games, all that kind of stuff, speculation, theories, whatever it is, as long as it piques our interest or tickles our fancy, we're going to cover it right here. So make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing.